telling everybody backstage that Chris and I look like a husband and wife at a murder mystery party. On a flight from Baltimore to Boston, I met my future husband. And I knew right away that he was the one for me because he was wearing a fedora with a playing card stuck in the brim. And it wasn't just any playing card, it was the Jack of Hearts. And he was sitting next to me, and we started talking, and I learned that his name was Rick, and he was 31, and he lived in Baltimore. And that was great, because I was 24, and I lived in D.C., and he told me that he was heading to Boston for a swing dancing convention. It was perfect. He was perfect. He was like the total embodiment of everything I ever wanted as a 14-year-old girl who was maybe a little bit way too into Indiana Jones. But I had to be sure, so I asked him the question. So, why the Jack of Hearts? And he says, well, the king is like too much responsibility, but the Jack is like the wild card. So perfect. So perfect. Perfect reply. That's totally Harrison Ford. I love him. He's mine. And the plane lands and we don't exchange numbers. And I'm not worried because I know this is meant to be, and I know that I have Facebook. So despite the fact that I only know his first name and the fact that he likes swing dancing, I find him on Facebook. Thank you. And I message him. Oh, hey, stranger. And he writes back and he asks me out, and our first date is in DC at a place where he goes swing dancing. And I was a little bit worried because I kind of told him that I know how to swing dance and that I love it and do it all the time, when actually I'm one of those people who can't do the cha-cha slide at the wedding. I always go the wrong way, I don't know. But by the time he texts me back, the event is over, so we meet up in the parking lot. And the first thing he does is look at me and he says, I'm really sweaty. And he takes off his shirt. And while I'm watching him, I look in the back seat of his car, because he's putting on a different shirt, and I see that he has a sword, a shield, and a cape. And that's how I learned that he is a LARPer. Clap if you know what LARPing is. Okay, for people who don't know, LARPing stands for Live Action Role Player. And it's those guys that run around the park in chainmail pretending to kill dragons and each other. And I'm a nerd, but I'm like way up here, and I believe very strongly that you don't talk about Fight Club. Like, all my private shit stays private and on a stage. And LARPers are way down here. I mean, the only thing under LARPers are furries. But we go to get drinks, and at the end of the night, we end up making out on top of the sword and the shield and the cape. And I spend the whole next week in total like bliss and complete anxiety that he's not going to text me back, but he does. And we meet up in Baltimore, and he meets me at the train station, and we're holding hands, walking through the parking lot. And I really feel like this is my personal best. Like, he's everything aesthetically that I could ever want, and I didn't even have to do anything, and he just appeared, which is how all adventure movies have led me to believe that I will find a man, so how could it possibly be wrong? So we go to his apartment to watch a movie. Everybody knows watch a movie. I believe now it's called Netflix and chill. And at the end, we get dressed, and we go to dinner, and there's nothing open because it's Easter Sunday. Yeah. And we end up at Johnny Rockets. And we're sitting at Johnny Rockets, and I'm hearing him talk, and I don't really think he's that funny. And he's listening to my stories, and he doesn't think I'm funny. And he's telling me about how he went to Orlando, where he wound up in Disney jail for the night. And I'm starting to have some doubts. So we get in the car, and we're driving back to the train station, and he can kind of tell that my mood has shifted, and I'm kind of sad now. And he looks at me, and he turns down the radio, and he pops in the CD, and he says, I have something to cheer you up. And then he starts to sing, we're all in this together. Now we know that we're all stars, and we see it. We're all in this together. Yeah. And if you're not a parent or a teacher or a millennial, you may not recognize that as a selection from Disney's High School Musical. And that's when everything hits me. The fact that he is really excited about the Ren Fair, the fact that he kept telling me I need to watch Smallville, and the fact that how does a 31-year-old man even know what High School Musical is? Like, I was 24 and I barely knew. I mean, did he pick it up in Disney jail as a way to cope? And I weigh my options, and I text him the next day. And I Facebook him the day after that. He doesn't reply. I call him. He doesn't pick up. And I never hear from him again. And I'm devastated because this was supposed to be the one, and everything about it was like so adventure movie, and that's what I love in life, and that's what I want to be. I want to be one of those girls in the adventure stories. And I was so sad, and I'm almost 30 now, and I still feel like I'm a 14-year-old girl that maybe a little bit loves Harrison Ford too much. But I'm kind of sad that I haven't met the one, and I wonder how it's going to happen for me, or if it will ever happen for me, honestly. But then I remember High School Musical, and I'm okay. Thank you.